On this week's show, we are here. Andy edited this after I wrote it. I did not say that. There's no doubt in my mind that I did not write that. Anyway, it is episode 100, ladies and gentlemen. 100. Over the course of the last 2 years, we have grown from a humble podcast struggling to find its footing to launching a Patreon, interviewing over 50 industry veterans, covering PAX East, and launching a humble Twitch channel. And by the way, we're still struggling to find our footing. We are thankful so much for all of your support and your love. Join us this week for something a little bit different. This week, Andy and I will talk about Nintendo Dual Screens, past, present, and future. That's right, folks. This is Nintendo Dual Screens, episode 100. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Dual Screens episode 100 for the week of May 27th, 2019. I cannot believe it. We have finally hit the mark. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, for 100 and then some episodes of this program, he is Andy Esimakis. How are you, Andy?
I think we'd last 2 weeks.
I was giving us like to the end of that year, like because that well, I mean we'll get into it, but you know, for those of you that are new to Nintendo Dual Screens podcast, this is a show where Andy and I and usually a guest from the indie scene or the Nintendo scene or whatever go over the Nintendo news that you absolutely need to know about and have an open discussion about Nintendo's past, present, and future, and focus on the nindies that deserve all of your love and attention. Nintendo Dual Screens posts each and every Monday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including iHeartRadio and Spotify. And going forward, this is my episode 100 announcement. Every episode going forward from 100 on, plus I'm going to scatter in some of the older stuff, are going to go on YouTube. I'm just going to put them up there with the old graphic, and that's going to be it. But it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. So I know I've been promising it for essentially 100 episodes, but it's actually going to happen. I figured now is a great time to start it, hopefully grow a new audience. Remember, if you want to support us, you can do so on Patreon by going to patreon.com/ndspodcast, just like our Patreon producer, Alex Gonzalez. Round of applause for Alex, sticking it through. I think it's somewhat like, I don't know, 20, 25 plus, 30 plus, I don't know how many episodes it's been, but thank you so much, Alex. We can't continue to grow without your support. Remember, you could support us for as little as $1. Every dollar helps. Now, Andy, we got something different for our listeners.
This is way different.
So usually on this show, we go over as I said in the beginning, we go over the news bits and we usually have a guest on to like talk about their project or, you know, what they're involved with. And, but this episode, we wanted to do something special. And for months we were kind of scratching our head, like, what can we do? Can we do something? Should we do a prank episode? Like, I wanted to read just an entire script from Frasier as the episode, just read the lines and then put the theme music, and that's it.
You wanted to also transcribe our very first episode and remaster it.
Yes.
Quote unquote.
Yes, that was the other thing. I wanted to take our first episode's audio, get somebody to transcribe it into a script, and then re-record that episode with our new setup, our new everything, and just like call it an HD remaster of Nintendo Dual Screens episode 1.
There is not enough money in the world to pay someone to do that.
I think
somebody.
I don't think it was that long. But speaking of looking back and speaking of episode 1, the first thing I want to do on this episode here. Okay, so this show has always been a train wreck. But believe it or not, this is a polished train wreck. It wasn't always this polished of a disaster, though. Let's take a listen to the introduction, the very beginning of our very first episode. Please to enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nintendo Duel. We're gonna start over. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nintendo Duel Screen Podcast, brought to you by ProvenGamer.com. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana. With me, hopefully all the time, is my partner in crime here, Andy Azamakis.
How's it going, everybody?
So this is our first episode of Nintendo Duel Screen. That is Duel, D-U-E-L. You see what I did there? Like duel, like on guard.
You're so clever.
Double entendres everywhere. They're everywhere.
Can I quit right now?
This is the... you have to at least give me a half an hour. Yeah, you need to give me at least 90 minutes notice would be good. Yeah, we certainly have come far, Andy. We've come far.
It's actually kind of nice because I think a number of our fans joined very late in the NDS podcast career, as it were. So I think for a lot of folks like Alex and Chet and Colton and scores of other listeners that we've accumulated in the last 2 years weren't from the beginning listeners of our show.
The first episode of our show, that first week, it was actually a week and a half because I think we didn't make it. We were on weird days in the beginning, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
We didn't care as much in the beginning.
We had 24 downloads for episode 1. 24 downloads, and I believe I was like 4 of those downloads because I downloaded on every different service I had. iTunes, Podcast Addict, Google Play. So
right,
3.
And I was so full of shame that I was 0 of those downloads.
Yeah, you
one.
really didn't get behind this thing until about episode 30.
No, it took me a while to get on board completely because I was like, what am I doing with my life? This is just insanity.
What are we doing? It was either shit or get off the crapper.
I didn't ask for this.
We're gonna get to that though, because a couple of questions and little segments that we have do talk about our past and where our minds were in the beginning and of course where we want this thing to go. But the next thing I want to do is we handpicked several moments from the show's past, okay, and we also asked some of our Discord people who are also patrons on patreon.com/NDS podcast to give us some of their favorite moments. And we got a couple here. I just want to say off the bat, Colton, you gave me so many timestamps from one episode. I wasn't sure which one I should pick. So I'm just going to mention that one of the highlights for this show, and you should all listen to it, was the Cool Greg episode where we talked about 90s cartoons, because the shit that was coming out of our mouths in that episode is absolutely god tier level of Nintendo Dual Screens podcast. Even though it has nothing to do with Nintendo for the most part, it was a great episode. But yeah, so the the first, I didn't put the episode title in here. So I'm going to pull up my thingy here. Where is he? There it is. Okay, so this one comes from episode 83. This is when we had Dave Oshry on the episode. Now, the doc says the highlight was him eating a cucumber, which, when I was going through the episode, yes, I did pluck that out. It is at the very end of this clip that you're about to hear. But I have 5 minutes, just under 5 minutes, of highlights from this episode. It was absolutely hilarious. So please enjoy this clip from episode 83, which I am calling Dave Oshry Highlights.
On this week's show, we welcome Dave Oshry of New Blood Interactive to take us on a redneck rampage through the backwater boondocks of dusk. Speaking of fresh corpses, Nintendo pulls the plug on Metroid Prime 4 and gives it a retro revival. And finally, X marks the spot in the most extreme hype zone yet. This is Nintendo Dual Screens, episode 83.
Sounded a little bit like Cookie Monster, but I like it. I'm down with that. So
What was your response to this news, Dave? Did you hear about this Metroid Prime 4 debacle?
especially when you have did he leave? He did leave.
Holy shit, he left a call.
He's gone. All right, let me just...
Dude, holy shit. Fascinating turn of events. You want to hit up in the G chat? Say, hey, Dave, we didn't mean for you to leave. Oh man, only on this show, kids, could a guest just walk off without.
Oh, his internet died. Okay.
Oh, there you go. That's what happened. Cool.
Understood. This.
You thought he left us?
Hello.
Hey, we're like, did he leave us?
So you got your internet shit the bed right when it was a possibility that you thought you were done.
Yeah, no, I don't know what the hell happened. I'm gonna go reset my router. I'm on my phone now. I'm gonna try to get my headphones working. But of course, I've got one of those phones that doesn't have a headphone jack.
Fucking God.
Oh,
I hate this. I hate this fucking future. Yeah, the Pixel 2 has no headphone jack.
Isn't that
So I
just
need like a little
bullshit?
one. It's so stupid because I can't charge it and listen. I can't charge it and use headphones at the same time unless I use whatchamacallit, Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah, or a pad to charge or some shit.
Yeah, it's real dumb. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. All right, I got my.
We'll let you get settled in.
Can you guys?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I've got my headphones. I'm on my Wi-Fi. Not my Wi-Fi. My 4G. I don't know. I'll fix my router later. Anyway, Metroid Prime.
Yes.
What happened? I'm sorry. I was trying to put my phone back down and make sure it doesn't.
I was saying
noise to
that
me.
January 24th was National Compliment Day, and I did not get one from you.
That is a lie.
Asshole.
Because you're a garbage person.
I'm gonna go back into our conversations and I will make sure that I find one because I'm sure I did accidentally because you don't deserve it.
Well, I know I don't, but still, would be nice.
I think Dave might be trying to.
Is Dave like? Are you trying to build your own internet router?
No, I'm just opening my balcony so I can go outside. I mean, I might as well go outside since I have no internet. That's what you're supposed to do. Right? I'm taking my own advice. Going outside, nerds.
Get back inside, nerd.
The only reason why you have to go back inside.
No fresh air for you.
Hey, I went to the beach today.
Beach? Where the hell do you
Yeah, I
live?
live here. I live in Oceanside, California. I live on the beach. The beach is right
Great.
there.
It was 6 degrees
I'm
here last
pointing at
week.
it. Oh, what's that? No, I mean I'm from New York, so like I am aware that coal is a thing.
This game was published by Midway.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Yeah, he said Midway.
As a tornado blows through Dave's apartment.
I live on the Pacific Coast Highway. There's a lot of motorcycles.
Get your motor running.
And then Nintendo was like doing some site visits on each team essentially. And
Yeah.
like,
That's all work.
are you
Not with a
eating
game.
potato chips
No,
on
I
the
mean,
podcast?
I'm eating a cucumber. I'm a healthy boy.
He said that some things I can't with this fucking cucumber. He said that some things were under control. Some things appeared to be.
I actually work for Nintendo. I'm doing this to drown you out so people can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, is that what you're doing right now?
No, I'm actually resetting my router. Keep going.
That some things appear to be under control.
The man is certifiable, Andy.
No one eats a pickle like Dave does.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well, it was a cucumber. Yeah, he's a healthy boy.
He's a healthy boy. Yeah, he was a fun one because there was also a moment where his connection crapped out at the very end of.
That was clipped. That was clipped.
Yes.
They just heard it. Yep.
Right at the end of the interview.
So we have what you just heard was his internet going out, and spoiler alert: Andy's not listening to these, or neither of us are listening to them live. I'm gonna splice them in. Well, I mean, we were there, so whatever. Internet going out, then him going onto his terrace. There was the motorcycles going by while he was on his terrace. The eating the cucumber. It was just 5 minutes of silliness. But he was a lot of fun, and we met him at PAX East, and he's a good dude, good solid person.
Such a sweetheart of a man.
Indeed, nutso, but sweet. All right, so the next highlight here is all the way back to episode 7. This was one of my favorite hype zones that we've ever done. And I don't know if you remember this, Andy, but this was from unicorn something.com. I don't know.
I'm going to guess from the title what this was. Was it when they drew Mario all sexy like a hunk?
Yeah.
Like a beefed out bear?
Yes.
Okay.
This is called Hot Burly Bears from episode 7.
That's how I like them.
Please do enjoy.
The Instagram for Rabbit Peach.
That was our last episode.
Yes. Seemed only yesterday. And that was for our, we mentioned that for our straight male fans. Or our,
clearly. Obviously,
or
straight males are attracted to
lesbians,
cartoon rabbits.
Our lesbian listeners out there. Or double L's. But this week, we're talking about something for my kind of people.
Oh, boy.
For the homosexuals out there. For all you raging queens out there.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Nope. Not at all. Care of, oh my god, unicornbooty.com is a real website. An artist by the name of Leonardo Gutierrez.
Oh, Leonardo.
Did a reimagining of the Super Smash Brothers characters as hot burly bears. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with gay lingo and terminology, a bear is like muscular but a little heavy set, not fat or obese, but like has some meat to the bone.
Kind of like that professional wrestler, but not like roided out.
Yeah, like he goes to the gym and takes care of himself, but he has a nasty diet too.
Right.
And he is hairy, very hairy, like a full-on like brawny beard going on. Got a muscle. I'm like semi-bear. I'm not fat enough or fit enough.
I've been told by several of my gay friends that I am a cub. I would be considered.
I could see that. Yeah,
a cub.
You're definitely a cub. I've heard wolf to describe me.
Okay.
Because I'm like on the thinner side, but I'm hairy and I'm like a little bit built.
You're feisty.
Yeah, but I have a thick beard, so that helps.
Smash Brothers characters then. Okay, so
it's kind of you have to see it to believe it. How we have Mario, that he looks like full-on Village People with like a full furry chest, a star tattoo on his abdomen, wearing suspenders, bare-chested.
He kind of looks like Zangief.
A cigar in his mouth and his little red hat on. And he's wearing a little, I want to say it's a wedding band? Maybe? On one of his fingers? Okay. Well, that's sweet.
All right.
And we scroll down and we see, oh my god, Pikachu. It's this cute little guy in a onesie that says tall grass on it. I can't, these are too adorable. Donkey Kong is amazing.
Well, as a gay male,
yes.
I don't know if you are into bears at all, but who do you think of the Smash Brothers roster is most attractive to you?
I'm scrolling through right now, and I'm gonna say it's a oof, no, that's a good one too. It's a three-way tie between Ness, Yoshi, and Pikachu.
Wow.
Because
so not only
they're good size, like they're just chunky enough for me.
now, would this be like a double whammy? Would this be like you're also like a furry?
Well, no, because they're not wearing like
whammy?
outfits of characters. Like he's not in a Pikachu costume fucking me. He's a guy with a yellow leotard or a onesie.
Well, now this isn't only for gay males, women, ladies. If you're listening,
for you too.
This may be something that you were attracted to. There's clearly an audience for it.
Luigi
so
is like full leather daddy.
I am going to reach down to my right, and I'm going to push the eject button and get the hell out of the hype zone because it is getting scary. Definitely one of those hype zones that set the tone for hype zones to come. Like, that one, I think, set the tone for all of the raunchy hype zone things that we've done.
Fairly early on, too.
Yeah,
we were already
super early. Oh, yeah.
Into the raunch.
Oh, yeah. Episode 7.
It didn't take for, like, uncircumcised penis conversations or Mario's nipples. We were, from the get-go, all about decrepit and perverted humor.
Perverted humor, indeed. Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. So the next highlight that we have here was from one of my favorite episodes, and I know it's one of your favorite episodes as well. This one we got a ton of feedback about, and she was our... Was this our first female guest? I believe so, yes. First female guest, incredibly decorated voice actress. This was Sissy Jones came on the show, and this is from episode 59, and this was from I clipped out the opening of the show and then took out the music and then what happened immediately after the intro song, because it was just a lot of funny. This is called Sissy is in the Wrong Place. Please do enjoy.
From The Walking Dead and Firewatch to taking on the role of Fury in Darksiders 3, Sissy is fast becoming a voice acting icon, and yet for some strange reason, has agreed to come on this dumpster fire of a show to talk about Nintendo and many other things. This is Nintendo Dual Screens episode 59.
Oh god, this is Nintendo Dual Screens. I'm in the wrong place. I gotta go.
I am Stephen Fontana, and as always with me is my co-host, my best friend, Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
I have tears in my eyes after that little bit at the end of the intro there. It's like, I thought it was Polygon. My agent lied to me.
I thought it was kind of funny. Shit. I'm in the wrong place.
Well, we could dream. We could dream, Sissy. And that other voice you hear is the aforementioned Sissy Jones. Hello, Sissy. How are you?
Hi. I am so good. Thank you guys so much for having me here.
This is great. It's already great.
Oh, I love Sissy. She was my favorite.
Yeah, I want her back on the show in some way.
Do you think we ruined it?
No, just come back on the show. Like, listen, she was a lot of fun. She was very engaging and into it. And again, she was our first really high-profile guest on the show, because it was the one guest we had gotten that I felt that it was a long shot reaching out to her. But thanks to our most avid and loyal listener, Alex, who really pushed me to go for her and try to get her on the show, I took a shot. And I would say less than a week afterward, she got back to us, and she was on the show.
That's awesome.
A few days after the fact. She had just finished recording, I think it was with IGN or Destructoid, a podcast with them. So, save the best for last.
So we set
That's what she did.
So that bar was set, and we just came in there and just shit all over the bar. Yeah.
I mean, the bar was certainly low, so that's not.
How low can you go? How low can you go?
Yeah, but she was great. A lot of fun, very informative for all you aspiring voice actors out there.
This next highlight is really a low light, but it was also.
Well, you were saying about having the first girl on the show. I think this is what could have been the first female guest.
So on episode 42, we had Shad and Jason from Monster Crowns or Monster Crown. I forget.
Monster Crown.
Crown.
Singular crown.
No S. Okay.
One crown.
We had them on the show, and this. Well, I'm not gonna really set it up. I'm just gonna give you the title of this little clip. It's called "Do I Sound Like a Girl to You?" from episode 42. Enjoy. All right. Well, we're going to start with an obvious question. Best Generation 1 Pokemon starter, and why is it Bulbasaur? Go.
I think you mean Charmander.
Oh,
Come on now.
Oh, no, Steven. She got you. You walked into that one.
Oh, do I sound like a girl to you?
No.
got him. Got him.
You know, I actually agree with him on the Bulbasaur. I mean,
Bulbasaur's pretty solid, I gotta say.
Listen, Shad, Andy has had anxiety over what to say because you don't have your beautiful picture for us to look at. And it's
that's very true. I know. I sound very effeminate.
No, you sound young. Andy is not used to talking to young people because he's not allowed within 300 yards of a school.
Hey.
Well, don't worry, I'm 23.
We promised we wouldn't mention that ever again. How many times I defend myself, okay?
There's actually no adhesive on my webcam. I was just worried about getting hit on.
Well, there is a risk on the show.
There is always a risk on the show.
I will admit that much.
Not one of your proudest moments, Andy.
You know what? I wouldn't feel so bad if Shadow replied to a fucking DM, but you know what? Fuck him. Fuck him.
Yeah,
listen, in my defense,
those DMs, man.
There was a whole back and forth prior to us recording, where both of us weren't really sure what was going on with Shad.
Okay, here's the thing. I had no doubt that he was male until you put the doubt in my head, and then all I could think about was, oh my god, what if you're right?
Right.
So you know what I did? All episode, I just avoided saying he, she,
right.
None of that
and
shit.
Then I let it slip on accident, and then that's what got me in the end. But the worst thing was, even after I was corrected by Shad, it happened the second time.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, right.
I'm
but
sorry,
Shad was a good sport about it. I mean, he just has a young voice. That's really all it comes down to.
Right.
College student and whatnot.
So he was, I think, our youngest guest on the show. I could easily say.
Yeah, maybe. So the next, this was one of my favorite ones to edit, aside from the Dave Oshry ones, because I took the beginning when Tricky fucked up, and then the end when he realized he fucked up. So on episode 5, this is the earliest highlight we have. Okay.
Our first guest, quote unquote,
Yes.
on the show.
Tricky Mick of ProvenGamer.com, Michael Miller. He was our first real, third wheel guest on the show to talk Nintendo. And we played the Retro Game Club. I believe this was our third Retro Game Club that we ever played. Ever. And I'm not going to give it away, but let's just put it this way. The name of the highlight is called Bubble Trouble. Enjoy. Yeah. All right. So, Andy, it is your turn.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
So, Tricky is going to join me in this game.
I think he might know this game. It's a Nintendo game.
And he may steal... Well, is that a fact? Is that number 10? Is that the number 10
No,
fact?
I feel like that's bullshit.
Okay.
That they saying what year it came out.
Okay.
So I'll say off the bat, just to get you guys in a nice headspace,
Okay.
this is a Nintendo game.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All
So
right,
that's bonus fact.
So the first hint is that this game was originally an arcade game released in 1986, and it was a 2-player game. So it's a port to the Nintendo, much like your Gunsmoke, Steven.
Okay.
It was an arcade game first, and then made it to home consoles. Again, this you're not going to guess from that because it could be anything at this point.
I don't know about that.
Okay, go right ahead. You want if you guess now, you're shut of luck, then you're done.
No. You're not. You don't. I did not say that last
So
week.
if you get a wrong guess, do you lose a point?
Well, I'm gonna lose a. I'm gonna lose a point regardless because you're gonna go to the ninth fact.
That's
and
true.
Then, so
All right,
whatever.
so good. If you
Two-player
guess it
game.
right,
Two-player game that used to that
was
was
an arcade
originally
game
an arcade
first.
game.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to take a guess?
I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. 'Cause, like, I have one thing that I want to say.
I am
wanna
going
say-
to take a guess
Oh
All right,
my
go ahead.
god.
because
You
86.
can't see my screen, can you?
No, 86.
Yes.
An
Oh,
two-player arcade
the
game.
year may give it away. If you know your releases.
Is this Mario Brothers?
Oh, thank God you got it wrong.
Okay.
I was like, if he gets this
I think
shit
that was
right-
85. I think that might have been 85. But
Can I make a new rule up?
sure.
That if someone ever on the first attempt gets it right, then this game stops forever.
Right now,
Because there's no beating it at that point.
Right now, I want to either guess Bubble Trouble or Duck Hunt. And I want to say it's Bubble Trouble.
Is Bubble Trouble your final answer?
Several guesses later.
All right, I'm just going to go with it. This is the tie. Oh, God. If I don't get this right.
It's the tie, yeah.
Is this game Bubble Bobble?
You are correct, sir.
Son of a bitch! Because
And
that's
the
what I
fact
said
that
from the
Tricky said
10th
Bubble
point.
Trouble would have been wrong.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, too.
And that was not his final answer, regardless.
I swear to God, I went just like it was like, that's the
So-
game I'm thinking of.
Yes. So
I had
my
it
hat-
over 10.
my
They
hat
were
to you,
little
sir.
ugly. They were ugly little girl
That-
lizards or
yes.
something like that.
They're
Yeah,
dragons, I guess.
Yeah, dragons. Yeah.
All right,
So
for the
the-
record, I get 10 points.
Yes. No, you don't.
I get
You
10 points.
said you said Bubble Trouble first of all.
You know what I meant.
No. If this is Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, it would have been wrong. So let's
You know
not.
what, you know what I meant.
Tricky gets well. He could edit the docs.
He gets
and
an
he's probably
honorific.
he's gonna
He
put
gets an
himself in his
honorary
10 points anyway.
for being a good sport and for almost getting it right on the first attempt.
I know, Andy. You probably almost had a heart attack.
I was like, if this motherfucker gets it like off the bat based on one dumb clue, it was an arcade game. Then I'm done.
Well,
So
as soon as you said arcade, I started thinking like Mario Brothers was in the arcade.
Well, like Ninja Turtles, Contra,
Right.
these are all good guesses.
And I
So I
and
thought
I went,
that
and I'm starting to think like arcade, and immediately I went to Bubble Trouble. But this is the game that Bubble Bobble is the
Bubble
game that I was
Bobble.
thinking of,
Yeah.
and that was
Now-
that was the game I was picturing.
Yeah.
And I went,
okay, so
no, because I don't think
the,
I don't think it came out on Nintendo that early.
What a tool!
You know what? It's like you want to feel bad for the guy, but at the same time you don't, because Bubble Trouble. I mean, it's how do you not know what that game is really called?
Well,
There's some things that even the most people the most far removed from video games will know what that game is.
here's
I mean,
the
you almost like to hear it being called Bust a Groove
right Or
by
bust,
accident.
Bust the move.
Bubble Trouble. I was, oh my god, and the fact that
my favorite. Yeah. Okay. First of all, knowing how the Retro Game Club has gone since then, I wish you would have got it on the first guess
right,
because you're a shit stain.
I am.
Yeah.
I call boys girls and they give shitty clues on the Retro Game Club.
Correct.
That's what I do on the show.
In no
case y'all
particular
wondering.
in no particular order.
Nah.
So the next one was I picked this random episode to listen to. I was just clicking through our backlog and I found episode 27 and the thing starts out with the dumbest fucking Christmas intro ever. and then it goes into the absolute best introduction of us, like setting up the show or whatever. So yeah, this is called our dumb Christmas intro, best of intro. This is from our best of 2017 episode 27. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first annual NDS Awards presented by Proven Gamer. Now, here are your hosts, Stephen Fontana and Andy Asimakis. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Everyone, sit
please,
down,
everyone,
please.
have a seat.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, flowers. Oh, my God.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sit down. Sit down.
Carnations.
All right.
Oh, you right there. I see
ladies
you.
And gentlemen,
I see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, settle down. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Stephen Fontana. That is Andy Asimakis. We are going to be your hosts for the first annual Nintendo Dual Screen Awards presented by ProvenGamer.com.
When did we actually buy good mics for the show?
Oh, it was fairly early.
It was, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
it was fairly early. It was like it was after, I think it was episode 4.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm
trying to think how far back it was.
Well, that's a good little segue, because episode 1 really wasn't episode 1. It was episode 1.5, 1.5, because you fucked up the whole first recording.
No, that was a pilot. Was
Sure
the first recording?
It's not a pilot if nobody hears it.
Of the show.
It was an unaired pilot. Nobody saw it. Nobody heard it. You and me. That was it.
Yep.
We were like, okay, can you get it done by Thursday? Yes, we could have the show edited and ready to go by Thursday. And we missed it on our first episode because Andy did not put headphones in.
We were so good that day.
We were spot on.
Just to show you the level of commitment and professionalism we had to the show, I thought to myself, if I'm not wearing headphones and Steven's voice is coming out of my laptop speakers, it's not going to catch that, right? I should be fine.
Yeah. Speaking of should be fine, the next highlight was when a guest almost died on the air.
Not the first time either.
No, but this was
What's the best time?
This was dire. Okay, this is from episode 53, and it's simply called "The Cat is Out of the Cage." See what I did there? Cage.
Your pun game is getting better, but
it's
you know not at my
Just
level.
shut up. Enjoy this highlight. I am Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, is Andy Asimakis. Hello, Andy. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm sweating like a pig.
Somebody's dead.
Oh my God!
Somebody is dead. So we're gonna go live right now to the West Coast with KG Tang. KG, somebody just died.
Yes, I'm so sorry about that. There was a spill in the kitchen and some stuff. Was that the cat? Was that?
Yeah.
All right. So we had an incident where the cat jumped up somewhere in the kitchen where they were not supposed to, and my wife attempted to accost the cat, and the cat apparently did not take kindly. So that's what that was all about.
It was not very effective.
For all the listeners out there, that was not scripted in any way, shape, or form.
Are you all right, honey?
Oh God.
Is there any blood? Are we okay?
Not too much. Just the the proper amount of cat scratch blood.
Just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
But I have 2 cats, and I grew up with cats, so I know the feeling all too well.
Yeah, they sometimes get a little angry at you.
One of our most engaging guests that we've had, totally into the show. That whole beginning is just it was just hilarious. It broke the ice so perfectly for the show and like what the show is. It was wonderful, and I hope his cat has not killed him.
No, and again, it really speaks to the whole point of the show being uncensored, unedited, and just completely candid. That we leave all that shit in just for you people.
That's right.
We're not lazy.
Right.
We could cut it out if we wanted to, but it would rob the show of its essence.
Of its
So we keep all that crap in there.
Oh, what's it, not minutia? What's the other word that Frasier says? Oh fuck! What does he say? The minyo.
Give me some context.
Not, the word that they kept saying in that one episode, and we weren't sure if they were actually using it correctly. The French word. Minyo, not minyo. I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it. I watched a couple episodes tonight, by the way. Niles is the best thing about that show, hands down.
Oh, easily, without a doubt.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Oh yeah. So the next highlight, as we're getting down the list here, is when we had Nate Schmold on the show for episode 40. And
Oh yes.
this was something you picked for the highlights. You also picked the cat out of the cat out of the cage, but that was something we both agreed on. But this one I really liked because it shows just how completely unpredictable the show could be. But this is called First Guess by Nate Schmold. Enjoy. You ready?
I've been ready.
Okay. This game has been released 3 separate times on its original platform.
Oh God.
This is for 10 points.
It was released 3 separate times on its original platform.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that it was on the same platform 3 times?
That is
not a yes or no. I'm clarifying.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Okay. I'm going to take a guess because why the hell not?
Nate, jump in, man. Don't let him do it.
Is it Duck Hunt?
No, it's not Duck Hunt.
Oh, was it Super Mario Brothers?
It is Super Mario Brothers. Nate wins. Yes, 10 points. Yes.
Because that came out like by itself. It came out with Duck Hunt, and then it came out with Duck Hunt, Super Mario Brothers, and Track and Field or whatever.
One, yeah.
Yes, it did. Yes.
This is the shortest retro game club in history.
As well, it should be, Andy. It should be
pick
the
this
shortest.
game.
I chose Super Mario.
Piece of shit.
That's why he followed it up after the Mario the baseball thing.
You see, but I was on the right path at least because I thought maybe.
Yeah, you gave it to me basically.
I did.
Oh yeah, please. He did not give it to you. He struggled. He floundered. He made it.
No, I just mean he basically.
I struggled. I had a guess right away.
He blew it.
In one of those 2 games.
He blew
I thought maybe you make it challenging a little bit with Duck Hunt. But you went for the obvious answer, which that's how you got me. I got.
Nope. You got is right.
You blew it.
Did you know that that game sold 40 million
good.
copies?
That's insane.
Physical copies, 40 million.
Wait a minute, hold on, Steven.
Yeah.
You can take your clues and stuff them because we have more pressing matters here.
Oh God, what happened?
We have for the first time in Retro Game Club history a first clue winner.
Yes.
You got it on the first clue.
Yes.
Yes. You are the first person who has played this game to get a game right on the very first clue. Now that means you get 100 points off the bat.
That is true.
You are the champion, unofficially, of course, champion of this game for the year. And Steve and I will fight it out for the rest of the year, but you are unofficially, at least.
So this wasn't a bubble trouble situation. This was
God.
Tricky was a guest on like the third show we ever did, and he went to guess on the first clue. He said bubble trouble. The game was Bubble Bobble, and so he wound up protesting that he should get 100 points. But of course, Bubble Trouble was an actual real game. It was a mobile game, and so he lost his 100 points. You are a true 100-point holder. Nate Schmold, 2-time guest. That was his first time being on the show.
He's twice as good than most people that come on the show.
True.
No, Nate is a fun guy because he gets our insanity.
Oh, does he? Oh,
like he's our level of crazy.
Yes.
Like we're on that same weird, freaky wavelength. Like our brains work in that same demented way.
Yes.
And that's why I love him so much because he gets our humor and he goes with it.
Right. And if you need any more evidence of that, our next highlight is suggested by Maltese. And this is from episode 70 when Nate Schmold was on for the second time to talk about Friday the 13th Killer Puzzle. And this is simply called Buttery Biscuits. Buttery Biscuits.
Buttery Biscuits.
Please enjoy.
Buttery biscuits.
Biscuits for you and biscuits
Hold on,
for me. Everyone gets biscuits.
Me too.
Everyone, line up. Get your biscuits.
Free biscuits, kids.
Free biscuits.
If you want to come down to my van, I got some free biscuits for you.
We got honey biscuits.
Let's just do this for like an hour and a half.
Oh, I'm recording. We're fine.
It's all of the biscuits.
Oh, man.
Biscuits.
All right. Well, you know the deal of this show, so let's just do the damn thing. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good time. That was one of my favorite intros we've ever done. With that, like, I'm so glad I hit record.
We've been trying to make an idea for a game to call our own, and I think Biscuits in the Woods is the perfect title for some game out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Make.
I agree. Without a doubt.
There's a game to be made in that with that title. At some point.
100%.
It's gonna happen.
100%.
I love you, Nate.
We miss you, buddy. Also,
he's around. He's around.
I know. So we had two guests that have such a pedigree in this industry from when we were children. One of them was Greg Johnson, creator of Toe Jam and Earl, which that whole episode is a highlight to me. But I did not pick anything from those episodes. I should have.
Because you really can't.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, there was
it's start to finish great.
Right. But the other one that we've had was Michael Mendheim from Mutant League Football, or Mutant Football League, as the new game is called. And this was from episode 73, so just a couple episodes after the Nate Schmold episode. And this one was really funny because this was like a happy accident, and it was just a lot of fun. Actually, you know what? Before we talk about the Michael Mendheim one, I am going to insert a Greg Johnson one. I don't know the episode number, but I will find it, and I will edit it tonight and put it in here. But this was Greg Johnson when he realized, well, you know what? It's from the Retro Game Club. Just listen to it. You'll never believe what happened on this one.
What the fuck are you doing?
That's your clue.
Are you giving me an audio clue?
That was an audio clue.
You know that all audio clues must be in the form of a music file sent to me over GChat.
No, that's too easy.
Can we ask you to do that again?
Sure. Do 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 do.
I think I got it. I think I got it. Is that like a Christmassy theme you're doing?
I don't know. Is it?
I know what you're doing, Steven.
You know what I'm doing?
Yes. Greg, I think I got this. I think I got this.
Really? That didn't sound like the.
No,
You're not thinking the
it
Grinch. Right?
just clicked. That theme
Christmas.
clicked with me. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You
Go for it.
You mentioned booby traps,
Uh-huh.
movie license,
Uh-huh.
and then this theme.
Mm-hmm.
Does it by any chance star or the movie have Macaulay Culkin in it?
That is correct. That is correct.
Oh, you're
Is it Home
kidding.
Alone?
It
You're
is in
kidding.
fact Home Alone. It is in fact Home Alone.
Oh my God, he's gonna kill me. So you guys know about? Is this coincidence, or you guys know about Macaulay and Toe Jam, right?
No.
Oh God, there's a story.
Enlighten.
What have you stumbled across?
Yeah, well, so I had no idea, but he's like an uber Toe Jam and Earl fan. He and his brother Kieran and their best friend Stu still play the game like every week and have for the last 25 years. And they came up to my office and they spent like 3 days, and we did nothing but sit and play the original game and the new game and the Toe Jam and Earl board game and talk everything Toe Jam and Earl. And they knew the game inside and out, like way better than I did. All this stuff I had long forgotten or never even discovered, they have covered every corner of the game. And so Macaulay is actually, or Mac, is who he goes by. They do, their Bunny Ears podcast. I was on that, and he's actually helping us do PR and is out there now, like helping us promote the game.
Look at that.
So wild.
I don't want him to know that I didn't recognize.
No,
that.
he's doing PR for you. He has to know.
Yeah,
it's in his job description. He's got to know. And that is not the first. That is not the only time that a guest had something to do with the game that they had to guess on the Retro Game Club in some weird 6 degrees of separation here.
Well, I'll tell you right now that, just for a fun fact, Greg was on right before Nate came back for the second time. So that was episode 69.
69.
When Greg came on the show.
Love it. Yeah, so that was just that was a true happy accident where the game was, of course, Home Alone, and Greg should have known Home Alone because he's good friends with Macaulay Culkin, who's crazy about Toe Jam and Earl, and was actually on Toe Jam and Earl's telethon today where they were selling physical copies of the game on Twitch.
But you could forgive Greg for that though, because he wasn't involved with the game's development in any way.
But his whole thing was Mac is gonna. This is what he said. His words were, and you just heard it, listener. He said, "Mac is gonna kill me," and we're like, "Who are you talking about? Like, who's Mac?"
And then he made NDS podcast history.
Yeah,
with that story. But Michael, I was reading stuff from his instruction manual for Fester's Quest.
Oh, were you?
I was.
Oh, it was episode 68 because we did a Super Mario Party review for 69.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
continue.
Whoopsies.
It's all right.
But yeah, I'm not sure at what point we started to get into a habit of making the Retro Game Club choice sort of tied in with the actual guest or with the news in some way.
It's almost always when I'm doing it because I'm lazy.
Right. And you are. Because early on it was, let's pick some fun games that we want to talk about. But then as we move towards more obscure titles and with your overall laziness getting involved,
right,
it was, this guest's on, so what do they make on the Nintendo system?
Right.
I think your laziest one was when you picked Friday the 13th for NES when we had Nate on the show. Because there was no way I thought you would have picked a game that obvious.
Right. It was reverse psychology. That's
and
what
you
I was
did.
going for.
You totally did.
Yeah.
But Michael not knowing a game he worked on, and my clues weren't shitty.
They weren't.
Really obvious.
But
it
anyway.
just blew my mind. It blew my mind.
Episode 73. So this is Michael Menheim. Doesn't know his own game. Please enjoy.
The game
uses Blaster Master's overhead shooter engine?
Oh yeah, it's got to be Fester's Quest.
The game uses Blaster Master's overhead shooter engine.
It's got to be Fester's Quest.
What about that line makes it Fester's Quest for you?
Because that's
It was overhead.
It's the
By
exact
the
yeah
way,
when you're
Blaster
shooting and you're.
Master.
There were other overhead games too.
Yes, there were.
I was wondering why that line. I can name a dozen more
How many
games
points is this?
with overhead. This is your 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your 6th clue.
That's our final one.
No, you get 10 total.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So this is for 5 points.
Yeah.
Is it Fester's Quest?
It is Fester's Quest.
Oh my god. That is classic.
So,
where's the noose, man?
So the noose is an item in the game that summons Lurch, and he wipes out all the enemies on the screen.
Oh god.
And as for the weapons in the 3D hallways, that's a quote from the manual. It says it here in black and white, and the game hints.
Holy crap.
No weapons are available in 3D hallways.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you? What 3D hallways?
Right.
That's what the manual. Why don't you ask Michael? He made the game.
We didn't write the manual. We made some huge mistakes on that game. That's like another show in itself, but it did really well. That's some good research there, Andy. Hats off to you, Mike.
Yeah, I mean that's one of my favorite games. Now, just so we're all clear here, I was originally going to go with Mighty Bomb Jack as my game for this week, just to further fuck with Steven because it was in the news.
Yeah.
But then when I looked into your history and your career, I was like, this motherfucker made Fester's Quest. Hell yeah, it's going on the show.
So, Andy, who did the box cover illustration for Fester's Quest?
Oh, I don't know. Who was that? Was it you?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
I used to do box cover illustrations before I was designing games. That's how I got into the industry.
What was the first one you ever did?
Oh God, I don't even remember. Like I did a ton of them. Cyberball, Fester's Quest. I mean, Sky Kid. I did a
Sky Kid. Oh my god, one of my favorite Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Because that was like the golden age of the absolutely ludicrous box art. Like the hand drawn Mega Man. That was like,
oh yeah,
what is happening?
All of them.
Oh my
Airbrush. Yeah.
Iron Sword. Wizards
Right.
or whatever it was.
Fabio.
Yeah,
That's
Fabio.
Fabio on the cover. That wasn't much.
It was an airbrush painting of Fabio.
Ah, that was fun. Shit. We should have gone with Fester's Quest on.
Yeah, this is why you had it. I was like,
the 3D rooms. Okay.
yeah.
And
I thought they would give it away. I didn't think it would just totally like fuck with your head.
So that actually a little peek behind the curtain. I guess the creators of the game have nothing to do with what goes in the manual.
well, we do to some extent, like we have to prove it. But that game was developed in Japan. So
yeah, Sunsoft. That's what
Right.
those. Yeah.
we designed it in the U.S. and then they tried to take those designs and understand. Like they didn't. It was difficult to understand the Addams family, right? It's just completely different cultures, and you're trying to. It was very difficult, especially way back then.
All right, and
Michael.
Yeah,
no, poor Michael.
Poor Michael. Poor Michael. The next highlight that we have here is definitely a top highlight of, I think, any podcast in the world. This was Richard Epcar doing our intro as Raiden for the show, and then at the end splicing together the bloopers of him doing the the intro. So this is from episode 96, which wasn't too far back, so you could go back and listen to that episode, which I definitely suggest you do. But here you go. Here is that highlight. It's called Raiden Intro and Bloopers.
Heed my warning, Earthrealmers. What you're about to face is vastly more important than your ego, your enemy, or your quest for revenge. The realms are in crisis, and no matter my efforts, the future remains in peril. To that end, I have enlisted the aid of Mortal Kombat's true champions. The Elder Gods have spoken. This is Nintendo Dual Screens, Episode 96. Oh, is this Heed My Warning, Earthrealmers?
Yes.
You're going to make me work for this fucking thing.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
All right,
Heed
listen.
My warning, what you're about to hear is vastly more important than your ego, your enemy, or your... Hang on a second. I'm going to copy this.
Get in the zone.
Oh, this is a first for us. We've never had somebody read
We've never
the cold open
relinquished
before.
intro duties to anyone besides Steven, so it's an honor. All right, so
For who?
I'm so glad I'm recording that. That's gonna go on our post show audio. Great.
Heed my warning, Earthrealmers. What you are about to face is vastly more important than your ego, your enemy, or your quest for revenge. The realms are in crisis, and no matter I just screwed that up completely. I just pooped the bed. All right, let's try that again.
All right, one more time.
You guys, my God. All right.
My elder gods.
My elder gods. All right, here we go. Heed my warning, Earthrealmers. What you're about to face is vastly more important than your ego, your enemy, or your quest for revenge. Are you...
We're doing it. We're doing it. We're getting.
Oh my God!
Oh, by the way,
Richard Epcar's drunk, ladies and
this is
gentlemen.
the post show.
Oh my
You going through this?
Good Lord! All right, here we go.
Idea I had my entire life.
Yes, outtakes for the show. That's great.
Yes.
What a guy!
I love that man.
What a guy!
I love him so much.
Top tier guy.
Like when I play MK11, I'm just like, oh, I've had that sexy voice on my podcast.
So this final moment that we have here is from Alex Gonzalez. He just thought this was hilarious, so he wanted me to put it in here, so I did. And this is called "Dyslexia Man Strikes Again." This is from episode 86, which I apparently had a really good little verbal screw up. And Dyslexia Man came back and bit me in the ass. Please to enjoy. The 20-minute snippets at a time kind of makes sense for one person speaking. So that's I just thought that was an interesting thing. I wanted to hear what your take on was that. Your take on that was, wow, Dyslexia Man strikes again. Here I come to Dave the Say. Means Dyslexia Man is on his way. Andy? There's another little story that I forgot to tell on the show, so you're not going to get Andy's perspective from this, but I figured I'd splice it in there. And this was from Alex Gonzalez. It was Andy's Little Nightmares story, and I forgot that I had clipped this out. I did not put it in the doc, but here it is. It's a great moment.
So I was playing a little gem of a title called Night in the Woods. Little indie game. I was reading this really great article about indie titles on the Switch on provengamer.com by some asshole journalist, writer. A journalist is in quotes.
Yeah, journalist is a loose term.
Just talking about indie games and what have you. So I picked some up, and I have a little story to go with this experience. So I was on the train going to work with my Switch, which is rare for me. And I was playing Night in the Woods, and there was a child with his mom sitting next to me. And he kept, leaning in, rubbernecking, to kind of watch me play. And his eyes were all, getting all wide-eyed and, glowy. He seemed, really, really into it. He was,
he got that Nintendo, that Nintendo feeling, that warm and fuzzy Nintendo
he was,
feeling.
Pointing at the thing and, tugging at his mom's coat to get her attention. So I'm leaning over and I'm like, what's going on? And then she goes to me, excuse me, sir, my son is watching you play your game. He wants to ask for a turn. And I'm like, oh my
really?
God, this is so sweet. Your little boy wants to play with my Switch. No. I said, I'm sorry.
Cold-hearted.
But no. No rando kids are handling my gaming hardware. Sorry.
Your $300 piece of equipment.
Nope. Oh, this is my
the most valuable thing is probably your saves.
This is my stop. Sir, you just got on the train. No, I have to get transfer to somewhere else.
I have to go anywhere but on this
next
train.
to you.
Tons and tons and tons of amazing moments, amazing guests. We cannot thank all the guests that have come on this show. To just put us onto a level that we didn't think that was possible. Ben Diskin, that whole episode was phenomenal. Just amazing stuff. Who else sticks out to you? Like we had mentioned earlier, Zach Johnson from West of Loathing. That was incredible.
Oh, Frida Wolf was great.
Frida was fantastic.
I
I had a
Frida.
couple of highlights there. So there was one highlight that Maltese wanted to put in there, but I couldn't really find a good way to clip it out because it was a lot of talking over each other. But it was when you were trying to ask her a stupid question about a dumb character that she played, and she was like, "Well, actually, that character took a lot of work, and it was X, Y, Z." And then I just chime in and go, "Yeah, so shut the fuck up, Andy." It was a fun little moment.
Right. Yeah, but Tony Chung, Master Pacina.
Master Pacina I was going to mention, but James
great
Deegan.
guests. Right.
Like that was a fantastic, and that episode, hanging out with James, to talk about Coffee Crisis and Mega Cat Studios. That episode made a friendship for us. Aside from we've had a few friendships make, but that one was a true awesome friendship that we got out of that. James, we can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us. Fantastic stuff. Patrick Hickey Jr., he was hilarious. He's off his rocker. And we're Facebook buds. We live in the same neighborhood, so one day we're gonna get coffee. But yeah,
Desmond Wong was a good guest.
Desmond was awesome, and Desmond is every once in a while we'll chat it up in our Discord too. He's awesome.
Yeah. That was one of the first guests where I was trying to make you happy for some reason, which I'm not sure why I did that. Doesn't sound like a me thing to do things
very
that
out of character.
would bring joy to your life. I'm kind of like anti that mindset.
You're kind of the opposite of good.
I want to bring you misery.
Right. You're kind of like totally not good.
Right. I just want to bone you on every episode.
Ew.
When it comes to
Ew. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's not.
All right, so we're gonna move on from the highlights, and I want to pose a question to you, Andy, and to me to ponder for a few moments here. What would we have done differently? We're 100 episodes. I feel like most of the shit that we would have done differently, we have done. Like we just kind of changed things up a lot. But looking back at episode 1 and looking back at how this whole thing started, what is something you would have done differently?
Nothing.
Really?
No, because I feel anything I could say is a result of us learning how to make the show better.
Right, but with that knowledge, with the knowledge of how to make the show better, like, what is there something you want to go back and tell episode 1, 2, and 3, Andy, to do differently? Like maybe personally, the way, you
always wear headphones when you're recording an episode.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
As a pro tip for episode 1, Andy. I wish we had a more clear-cut indication of our strong focus of indie titles early on. I think that was a result of us trying to find guests for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Indie devs are so eager to promote their games,
right,
that they'll just say yes to anybody.
Yeah, free promotion. Yeah, why not?
Assholes like us who are totally fucking clueless. but having that that in our mission statement from the get-go,
right?
Like it's Nintendo and Indies or Nindies,
right?
That would have been nice.
You know, I think the reason why we didn't do that is because, you know, when we partnered up with Proven Gamer, like we were their Nintendo show. Like they had a PlayStation show. So
Right.
we said, you know what, we both just got a Switch. Why don't we just do Nintendo? It's no problem. Neither of us are experts in Nintendo. We're fans of Nintendo. We are long time or like old school. Like I don't know the catalog of the NES and SNES like most other podcasters out there. You know what I mean? Like there are true experts of Nintendo, but I wanted to tell a story from the eyes of somebody who hasn't been in the Nintendo ecosystem for years and is getting back into it, and how it's changed, and the things that I remember about Nintendo, how do they apply now to Nintendo? And then what naturally started to happen is we would read the list of games coming out, and like one would be from Nintendo or zero would be from Nintendo, and all of the other ones would be indie games. So it kind of just naturally became that the games we were playing were made by, you know, a one-man team, or Megacat Studios, who, you know, is scattered around the whole globe. And then those interesting stories kind of came from that. And, you know, I spoke about Cat Quest a month before we got Desmond on the show. Cat Quest had been out for a while. I had been playing Cat Quest. I really liked it. I talked about it on like 3 straight episodes. And then we just got the dude on the show. So
yes, you did.
We were doing that. We were focusing on indie games, but without telling people that that's what we were doing, because we didn't know that that's what we were doing. It was just happening.
Right, because after a while, there's only so much new first-party news and to focus on. Because once Zelda came out and the initial Switch first-party lineup kind of like died down, there was like a waiting period for new software from Nintendo.
Right.
It was all indie ports and indie focused content,
right?
News wise,
what I would change, what I have done differently, very simple, is I would have told myself, don't be a news show. Because yes, we go over the news, but if you notice, like episode, 1 through, I would say even like 50, news was the important thing of the show. That was the thing we spent most of our time on, sometimes an hour. I would tell myself, and I would force myself, don't be a news show. Mention the news, don't do a deep dive. There are so many podcasts that do that. So many podcasts with hosts that write about Nintendo 24 hours a day. There are podcasts made by Nintendo Power, which showed up at like after we were a year and a half into this thing. IGN has writers that write about Nintendo all the time, that get every game imaginable at their fingertips. You need to tell stories. You need to get in there, get people that have something interesting to say, and if you don't have something interesting to say, then you failed. That's what I would do differently. And that's how I would have marketed the show. Plus, I may not have chosen Nintendo Dual Screens as the podcast name.
Oh wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, I love the brand, but at the same time, like trying to still explain that to people is just fucking annoying.
Right.
But
it's like what? So you spell it that way? Cool, I guess. So edgy.
Andy,
yes, Steven.
So we started this podcast. We launched a Patreon. Okay. We started a website. We started a Twitch channel. We've done a lot. We even have a YouTube channel, which we don't use nearly enough.
But it exists. It's there.
Yes. The next question I have, where do we go from here? What do we do for the next 100 episodes? What's going to happen? What are we going to plan to do? What do we want? What do you want?
I sat down for a little bit of time and I thought about this question throughout the weekend. in the middle of playing like PS4 for like most of my time. And it came to me that it's what I want for the show and what I want it to be, essentially. Because we're doing a lot of good things here with this show.
Sure.
I think giving a voice to developers to come on and just talk about their content, their product. There's no like gotcha journalism happening here. There's no like political agenda. It's just a very casual conversational podcast.
Right.
Where it's us and a guest talking about their game, their product, and then Nintendo as a backdrop setting to the whole affair.
Right.
What I want this podcast to reach a level of, I guess, popularity or notoriety. Depends how we go with this thing. Where developers are reaching out to us to get on the show. I want it to be the place where stories are heard. I want it to be a one-stop shop for developers, both indie and AAA alike, to come on and be like a tell-all of their life, of their stories, making video games, how they got there, all the boring stuff, all the fun stuff. I don't care. I want all of it. I want it to be a name where you can trust to go and have a good time and you can relax and just have fun like we're doing right now. Just chatting amongst ourselves.
Just being stupid.
That's what I want. That's all I want from the show. Now, getting there could be tricky because we've done this for 2 years now. And, you know, we have a modicum of fame, if you want to even use that word. I don't fucking know. But people know us-ish, I would imagine. I mean, you've had guests come on the show saying, oh, yeah, we've heard about this podcast prior to coming on the show.
We've had a couple, nice. A couple.
Which is nice. That, Which is still a shocker to me. Like, oh, you've heard about us? How? Who told you about us? I'm running down like our stats from the last 2 years, just like what we've done in the first hundo episodes. And guests are a huge part of our show.
Yeah.
So landing bigger, higher profile guests would be great for us, I feel. Like a Reggie level guest would be amazing, if possible. But again, it's not easy. And just a more diverse lineup of guests, which is hard to do when you have these indie devs. It's always like, again, one or two guys working on the game.
Right.
So like they're the writer and the programmer and the artist and all of it. So it's tough. But like getting on more voice actors, more music only guys, or just artists, or just programmers, or just PR people. I want all of them. The whole umbrella coming into the show. All of them coming on and telling us their stories.
I would like to get like just a writer that's like maybe a little bit more established.
Right.
That has
like
experience writing video games.
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Right.
So for me, I want to be afforded the ability. I want there to be a choice in the road. I want us to have to make a decision where, hey, we have the opportunity. Somebody out there is giving us the opportunity, whether it be somebody wanting to acquire us or somebody standing on a mountain and shouting, listen to this, and people actually do. And then that brings monetary opportunity our way.
You're just talking to Greg Miller in that sentence, aren't you? Greg Miller, if you're listening.
Not necessarily.
Just,
I mean,
plug our show, please.
I mean, honestly, it could be anybody. It could be a dev. You know what I mean? It could be anybody. Anybody that is respected and trusted says that for us, and like we're left with a decision to make, where it's, hey, we either do what we're doing currently, or we go full bore, and this is our job now. I want our show to afford me to have to make that choice, where I say, you know what, it's better just being a little thing that people listen to. I don't want to go too crazy. Or I say, it's time to get a studio and hire people and get an editor. You know, have another voice here. Really do the independent media influencer thing.
Hire a sound engineer to be on during each recording session.
Right. Just something like that's my 9 to 5. I go to, whether it's a tiny little like 2-bedroom apartment where like the living room is the studio, and then like one bedroom is like 5 desks, an office, and the other one is like storage, and there's the kitchen, like or like one's a green room, whatever. Like that's what I want. That's where I want I want dual screens in general, not even Nintendo dual screens. I want dual screens in general to be that important for people, that we are able to make that the thing we do with our life.
I want to fly guests in from all over the world.
Right.
In this studio of ours that you're building in your head.
Right. So you get it. All right. This is going to be the final segment of the show, episode 100. But we have lots and lots of questions. Now, the first one I'm actually going to scroll down a little bit because this is from Alex Gonzalez, Patreon producer. And I think we kind of answered this a little bit. Maybe we could elaborate a little bit. It says, after 100 episodes, what do you feel you have learned specifically from doing the show? So what's something we've learned from doing the show? So we went over like technical, glitchy, dumb mistakes, what we would change about it. But what did we learn? I guess one thing, I'll start us off. One thing that I've learned is that this is way harder than I could have ever imagined. Putting out something consistently for 100 episodes plus bonus episodes, which we have missed. It's hard. It's not easy. Like I said, this isn't our job. This is something that we put a astronomical amount of effort and time and money into for us to be able to do. And that is something I learned. It is not as simple as pressing record, recording a show, and then being done with it. There's editing the show. There's making sure you have art for the show. There's, tweeting and trying to get the show in front of people. There's building a brand, like all of that stuff. If there's one thing I've learned from doing 100 episodes, 100 plus episodes, it's that this is really, really hard. And it's incredibly rewarding. Especially when you don't know the person that listens to the show. And then all of a sudden reaches out to you, is like, hey, I'm a fan. And you're like, whoa, really? And they're like, yeah. What about you, Andy?
Well, first off, I want to say that I learned Alex's last name. That's what I learned on the show. Which I'm surprised that was one of the moments on the show, is you getting his name wrong back-to-back intros. But he's probably repressed that by now. Things I've learned. So we can talk about getting guests on the show and how they're always eager to be on the show, which is true for most of the part, but it's also working around people's busy schedules and your own when you're trying to get someone to come and sit down with you for an hour and a half. A complete stranger, by the way. Yeah. That is not easy. You would think it'd be a little easier to schedule something with someone. All right, here's our availability. What's yours? Okay, cool. Make it work. But then you have like time zones in Barcelona, Singapore, France. It's rough. Plus, Steven has 2 kids. So that makes it even worse sometimes.
Yeah.
But yet somehow, listeners, we have taken a break from guests on the show. We've had, I think, about 9 or 10 straight guests on this podcast up until this point. We took a break to record this mano a mano, just us for you guys to enjoy. But we've also delivered an episode every Monday for over a year now. We haven't missed a Monday in, I would say, 16 months. Maybe more.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It was last January.
It sounds like not a big deal to most, I guess, influencers or those who do this on a regular basis.
Mm.
When you have like a staff. We have no staff. It's just us. It's two guys with full-time jobs and children, and me, who is a child in many ways.
Many, many ways.
So it doesn't really help us at all. But we make it work. And yeah, I just wish I had known that it would be this intense. Because once we sit down and you press record, it's easy. The actual show, the show flow,
yes,
and the banter, and talking to people that again are total strangers to us, it all feels very natural,
right?
Which is why we do this show, because it's fun to do. But getting to that point is, if I had hair left, I'd pull it out. Essentially, is what I want to say. There are some days where you question why we do this. A recent example, I won't go on for too long here, but there is a guest who shall remain nameless because she is an up-and-coming guest on the show the next, hopefully, month or so, who we were speaking to over Twitter and was set to come on for next week, but then backed out because she couldn't talk about the game she was promoting.
Right. It wasn't in a position where they were comfortable with her talking about it. Right.
And she said, well, I'll still come on the show and talk about my career. That's great and all, but if you want to highlight the game part of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that wasn't even...
That's why we asked you to come on the show, because we like the game you're making.
Right, but that wasn't even, like, the real issue. Like, the real issue
No,
was
it wasn't. It was part of it.
Right. The real issue was that we didn't build that show around, like, news. Because we were actually going to record that this week and then just post it next week, because I'm going out of town. And when you're doing that, there's going to be less news, right? Because we're not recording it a week later. So there may have been only like 2 news bits. So you can't. It's going to be difficult to fill a show with 2 news bits, and you don't have anything to really bounce about specifically about like Nintendo and indie games.
Right,
So,
and then also like this person's career. I'm sure it's a great career, but it's not as vast as, say, a Reggie, where you have a lot to work with off the bat.
yeah, I
You know what I'm
mean,
saying?
we could, to quote one of my favorite podcasts and hosts, Eric Bischoff, when you get chicken shit, you still got to make chicken salad. And and we know this person, and we could have done a perfectly fine show, but it would have made a better bonus episode where it could be a little bit of a tangent, where we could where it could just be about that and be about that segment of the thing. But that's not what listeners come to the show to
No, of
every
course
Monday,
not. But again, it speaks to just what we go through, getting to the point where we have all of our ducks in a row to record an episode is a lot of work. And there's days where I'm at the office and I'm like, shit, there's a doc to make. What happened in the news this week? I don't watch anything. I'm totally clueless. And also like researching things about the indie devs, the guest game, and trying to sound like we know what we're talking about sometimes, but we're not. Maybe.
I don't know what you're talking about. I always know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure, okay. The man who doesn't play the game.
Only when it's a random shit that you spring on me 2 days before the person comes on. That's the only time I don't play the game. Anyway, moving on to the next question. This is changing gears here. This is from Kelsey.
Yes.
What does lick a tongue?
Grammar? I love it.
Yeah. What does lick a tongue feel like? Like,
wow, that took a twist.
Just touching lick a tongue.
We're just going to weird questions now.
I'm going to say that lick a tongue feels like dropping, like what silly putty would feel like rolled in sand. Like a little bit rough, but still like putty. Like just
interesting.
Not like an elephant. Like I know it could look like elephant skin, but like more just like. Because I like to think that my Pokemon are not all animal-like. Like they don't have an animal analog. Like I like to think that they're of the imagination.
Right.
What about you? What do you think a Lickitung feels like?
I think the obvious answer is something of a sandpaper quality.
That's the tongue.
Right.
Right. But what is like the body of a Lickitung?
I think the body of a Lickitung would feel is if you sucked on saltwater taffy for just the right amount of time.
Just the right amount. Yeah. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
It's hard but soft.
Sure.
That's what it would feel like.
Okay, next question.
That's what I'm guessing. Great question. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you, Kelsey. Next question. This is from Guy Michaels. Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it? Yes, it is true.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. 50-50. That's what you get here on Duel Screens.
Yeah,
DUEL. That's what it is.
Duel right there.
That's the duel. So the next series of questions here is from Joe Gonzalez. He's a long time fan of the show, a personal friend that we've made through this show. Here's a couple of questions here. Question number 1: what is the most frustrating part of working together?
All the above.
And then what was the most fun? So I'm going to say what the most fun thing is. And I think the most fun thing is getting to know you through recording and our bullshit banter on Messenger for the last 2+ years has been a ton of fun. Because like we knew nothing. We knew nothing about each other. We put a lot of trust in each other to do this. And that was a lot of fun for me. What about you?
Why does it work?
It shouldn't.
Do you ever think about that? Why does this work at all? Because we had a very, very faint connection to each other's lives. It was all very tangential.
Oh, yeah.
It was all just, oh, you wrote for me on this shitty website once upon a time.
Right.
We had dinner once at some vegan restaurant, which I hated you for.
Yeah, sure.
Talk about frustrating. But I'm not sure why we thought that we could, because it wasn't even a question. It was, okay, we're doing a show. But it never crossed my mind that, do I even like Steve enough to do this with him? About people, it's a great idea, but not with you though.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, there was a lot of trust there. There was a lot of
so
yeah.
They're just bad. It's on my part. It's bad judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But for fun, I think fun is, again, you make a really good point. Just getting to know you over these last 2 years, but just I like how unpredictable it is every week. That's the most fun.
That's a blast.
Because we have no real agenda, and we're totally fucking clueless when it comes to our own show. And I like the surprises. That's the best part. And it's also
I think our guests feel the same way.
It's also the most frustrating part.
For me, the most frustrating part of working together is that I can't physically harm you when you say you're going to do something and then don't do it and then ignore it for weeks as if you didn't say you were going to do it.
And then I wait till it goes away. That's how I operate.
Yes, I'm aware of what you do. Not everything gets to go away, Andy.
I know. It just, you know what's frustrating for me? I frustrating making empty promises. That's what frustrates me the most because I want to, but I just can't. You know, can't.
I'm
Can't
aware.
do it all.
I'm aware of your abilities. That's why when you say you're going to do something, I go, yeah, okay.
I like frustrating
Sure.
you. Does that count as an answer?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. I like pissing you off.
Yeah.
Because you don't like to get angry.
No, I don't.
I
like to
learned that.
avoid. I like to avoid conflict at all
You
costs.
avoid it, but then you have no problem getting there. Like I get you
Fuck,
hot.
is this bug still alive? I crushed it like 6 times. Fucking
That sounds
die.
like our friendship.
It's like one of those little like. Okay. Oh, it's very dead now. Was that multiple bugs? That was weird. It was like one of those little like tiny little beetle looking things. Because it's nice now, so all the fucking bugs are hatching.
We don't cut shit out, guys, for moments like that. For Steven talking about random bugs in his house.
Right? Why would I cut that out?
know,
That's perfect
If
content.
you clean it every now and then, wouldn't be a problem, though, would it?
Joe's last question.
Yes.
Who is better at Metal Gear on Nintendo on NES?
Oh, first of all, it's not even a real question. It's obviously me,
That game is awful.
and I'll tell you why it's me. Because I beat that game before you were born, probably.
Before I was born?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, maybe. That game is fucking
Right, but
that's
younger me beat that game without guides, and you're like, how'd you get rank 3? At
Yeah,
age
but my
30,
brain
whatever?
doesn't work like that anymore. Like when I was a kid, I probably could have beat that game. Because you just wander around as long as you can. Like I'm frustrated because I'm playing it on stream, so I'm trying to be entertaining, and trying to not look like a jackass. But if you're a
Well,
kid,
that's next to impossible. So don't stop trying to not do that.
Anthony Paul asks, "Who shot Mr. Burns?"
I thought it was Maggie. Was it a mystery?
I thought it was Maggie too, but I think
Did they retcon that in some way? I don't watch.
I don't
them.
know, but I'm gonna go with.
Joe is not good anymore.
I'm gonna go with comic book guy.
Comic book guy.
Worst character ever. We got a couple of good questions here from Harry.
Oh, Harry.
Which PS4 indie exclusive do you want to see on the Switch?
Can you name me some PS4?
I'm going to
indie
have to Google
exclusives?
that. PS4 indie exclusives. Here we go. We got it. Google search. The best indie games on PS4.
Let's drop some news in this week's episode, listeners. There was a recent Switch indie game exclusive coming to PS4. That's Travis Strikes Again. So that happened. But I'm trying to think what PS4 indie game.
Okay, here's one. Well, actually, there's a bunch. Actually,
There's a lot that I can that
It's-
are
and
owned
they're,
on
they're all
PS4.
they're all from the same guy, the same company.
Oh wow.
Housemarks games.
Oh,
Alien
yes.
Nation would be great. Did Dead Nation come? I don't remember.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, Resogun will be amazing on the Switch.
Resogun, yeah. Super Stardust HD.
I'm all about that Resogun.
I like Super Stardust better.
I think that's one company that Sony should buy. To be honest, they
Oh
should
yeah.
buy them.
Oh
and
god,
Bluepoint.
yes, absolutely.
The two of them should be under Sony's management.
This is a PSVR game, but it could probably work on the Labo VR because of how simple it is. But Moss,
I was gonna say Falcon Age.
yeah, Falcon Age is cool.
Be a fun game on the Switch.
Um,
Take your little bird on the go. It's hard because Harry, to be honest, what happens is a lot of these games will be announced first on PS4. Like Iconoclasts was on PS4 initially, and then it came to Switch. Like I want to say less than a year later.
right.
And it's an odd thing nowadays for PS4 to get indie games only. I feel it's always PS4 and Switch is the target for launch, if not Switch first. Though, while I was at the last week's the playcrafting event,
Mm-hmm.
I had a really fun talk with the developer of Kung Fu Kickball, and he was saying how initially when the Switch came out, getting your game on there was top priority for as an indie game developer. There was some guaranteed success to be had.
Interesting.
Now, not so much.
Yeah, no, of course.
Because the Switch library is very much akin to Steam nowadays, where it's a lot of so-so stuff and meh software. So getting your game to be noticed amidst so many other games that are out there is way harder now than it was back when the Switch was first released.
Right.
So there's that.
Harry also asks.
So Falcon Age is my answer to that question.
Harry also asks. In a world without pizza,
Ooh.
what food would be the cultural substitute in America? I have an answer.
Is pizza our unifying food item?
Pizza,
in the States?
I would say so. I would say
Not
yes.
burgers?
No, because burgers, no. No.
Or hot dogs?
Burgers are like one of those sit down, like you gotta maybe hot dog. I was gonna say that, and I'm with you with that. I do think burgers are important, but I'm gonna go with the sliders. I think because the thing about pizza is it's a one-hand food. You fold it, you stuff your face. There's nothing like walking in the streets and being like, I'm hungry. I'm going to drop a couple bucks, get a slice of pizza, and then just walk down the street to wherever I'm going and stuff my face with this pizza. If you can do that where you're just like, hey, let me get a couple of sliders, and you just throw them in a bag in a sack like White Castle, and you just pop like 2 bites and you're done. Slider, out of here, gone. I'm down with that.
That sounds disgusting, and I love it.
Yeah.
I wanted a greasy bag full of sliders, of loose sliders.
Yeah, I just want. Oh yes, that's what I want. I want a haphazardly thrown together bag of sliders
with like no toothpick, so it's all kind of like all over the place. So you reach in, it's just a bag of loose meat and lettuce, and you're pulling out parts of sliders by the handful.
Oh, I got the meat.
That sounds very American, by the way.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like a brown bag with a greasy bottom, which is
Yeah.
how I like my bottom.
Oh God, yes.
My bottoms, by the way, extra greasy.
Extra greasy.
There's a greasy bottom that you can see through, and just full of random meats and bread and something resembling a vegetable. That's very American.
Absolutely. Final question. This is from Matt Murray, friend of the show, contributor to the show and contributor to DualScreens.com. If you could swap 2 creators from any 2 gaming franchises, who would they be? What games do they make? And what would they change or make different about their newfound franchise? So I am going to go with... I'm going to go... So stepping away from Nintendo for half of this equation, I want to see a Kojima take on a cinematic either Zelda or Metroid game. Like a real cinematic, like, mindfuck of a game. I'm thinking Zelda would be better. Because there's a lot of different characters that can intertwine and make things really interesting. I would like to see that. I would like to see Kojima go and make a Zelda game. And then I want to see, I guess, Miyamoto would be this person, I guess, or Nintendo, you could say in general, but I'm going to go with Miyamoto. I want to see Miyamoto's take on, because they're swapping positions, on Metal Gear, but I want to see what he does to make Metal Gear more accessible to younger audiences. What that game would look like. Because you could still do pretty cool stealth action.
Right, but I'm trying to think. What would a younger geared Metal Gear game look like or play like?
It would probably, for me, it would probably look like a like chibi style. Like they're gruff, but they're cartoony gruff, like almost like an anime.
Right. I mean, thematically, there's nothing really that you can't, like, kids really can't appreciate out of Metal Gear. It's just the stealth killing aspect and the violence that maybe kids aren't,
yeah, I
it's
guess.
not too kid friendly.
I mean, you run around in a cardboard box and stuff.
Right.
You can
Oh,
make-
how about this?
you
You
can
know what
make,
you do? You do like, have like Miyamoto and like the guys that make Kirby work on a Metal Gear game.
Call it Metal Gear Adventures. No,
Uh,
Metal Gear: Snake's Adventure.
Mm.
And it could just be a
Snake's Air Ride.
Do you have
He just
anybody, or
rides-
do you want to
just
close
rides-
out the show?
Just rides Vulcan Raven down the icy slopes. Let me think of two creators I'd like to swap. Oh, okay. You know what? I think I'm going to follow your lead with Konami a little bit. You mentioned Metal Gear.
Okay.
I would like Naughty Dog to create a Silent Hill game. Now, the issue with that off the bat is that franchise, the reason why it works so well is because it's a Japanese interpretation of Western horror. So it's how they view our horror through their own lens, which is why it's like it can be weird enough, but still feel right with us here in the States. Like that, how the horror works. So because I think they have like the right engine, the right how to convey emotion with their motion capture, and they write good stories. The people at Naughty Dog, top-notch storytelling. And The Last of Us it's right there on the cusp of full-blown psychological horror, because you're dealing with zombies and an outbreak and more the savagery of like body horror, like brutal, bloody, disgusting crap.
And like
Like,
despair.
right. Well, that's also pretty heavy in Silent Hill too. So let's go one step further and go full blown psychological. I think that's like the last thing on their list, because they gave us a nice adventure game with Uncharted. They gave us like a survival adventure game with Last of Us. Now let's go a little further and do a little psychological horror. Now, I would love for Konami to do maybe, this is rough because they could do an Uncharted game.
They wouldn't.
They would not.
They would announce it.
I would love to see how they would interpret a Western
popcorn movie
Tomato type game. Yeah, it would just be like a
pachinko machine.
Like, yes, it would just be like Nathan Drake's pachinko, which is $1 million idea. Let's face it.
All right, so that's it. That's our questions. Thank you for the questions, guys.
Yeah, there was a lot. I'm surprised by that.
Remember, you could reach us. We have an email address, feedback@ndspodcast.com. You can also join our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/ndspodcast. Send us questions there. And if you join our Patreon for $1 and you have a Discord, you could join our Discord and also, write into the mailbag there. All sorts of ways to reach us. But that's going to do it. That's our 100th episode. Amazing. And for 100 plus episodes, Nintendo Dual Screens Podcast has been a part of the Proving Gamer Podcast Network, which includes Trophy Horse, a PlayStation podcast. They're upwards of like 450 episodes or some shit like that. And Game Stuff, a general games discussion podcast, which they are going to have their 100th episode in about a month and a half. So congratulations to you guys. If you want to follow the show, you can do so. We are at NDS Podcast. I am at Batchild27, and Andy is at Pants Guy. And as I said, facebook.com/groups/NDS Podcast to join our Facebook group. Thank you so much to our contributors, Zazu Pitts of Sourno Productions for our theme song. Thank you, Dan Colonna of Dinosaur Machines Podcast and Hit Buttons Gaming for our Nintendo Dual Screens logo. And thank you, Andrew Douglas, for our podcast art. And thank you, Matt Murray, for adapting a bunch of our podcast art to make all sorts of fun banners and logos and whatever. As I had mentioned, our Patreon is patreon.com/NDS Podcast. That's how we survive. That's how we do this thing. But now we have another way that we could survive, and that's if you want to get some sweet, sweet merch. So we have a merch store. It's on our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/dualscreensstreams. But you could also go to the link in the podcast description, which is our streamlabs.com/dualscreensstreams #/merch. Streamlabs.com/dualscreensstreams #/merch. Andy, it has been 100 episodes, my friend.
Oh my God.
It has been a wonderful 100 episodes.
To 100 more.
To 100 more, yeah.
Before then, I'll have to murder you at some point in my life.
Is there anything you want to tell the kids before we go?
Yeah, there's some guests happening. We do that on the show sometimes, getting guests on.
Almost all the
talk
time.
about their projects and what have you. Right. I have 3 potential guests lined up for next week.
Oh, great!
I'm waiting for a confirmation from
it's
one.
Be roulette.
One just said yes, like no joke, an hour ago.
Cool.
So that should be fun.
Fun Time USA.
Yes. So look forward to that announcement on Twitter at NDS Podcast to come this week.
Yeah. That is it, folks. This has been Nintendo Dual Screens, episode 100 for the week of May 27th. Andy, thank you so much for these 100 episodes. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this with you. And listener, thank you for your support. We cannot do this without you. You are the reason why we do this. Thank you so much. And as always, please be excellent to each other.